morning, everyone. This is Tony from our Alabama Homestead. And yes, just found a quiet little spot here to do some filming if I can. Hopefully there won't be too many people passing by. We just had an interesting flyover from a turkey vulture. Most of the folks were going, "Oh, wow, looking for it." And I said, "Well, yeah, it's a turkey vulture." They didn't know what it was. One fellow told me he thought it was an eagle or a hawk, and I said, "No, they're kind of pretty." Whereas this thing, it was definitely a turkey vulture. They certainly keep the carrion down. They look after that, them and the crows, and that's what there was here, was a crow and a turkey vulture keeping each other company. So I don't know if they had their eye on the same prey, but anyway, it's fairly quiet. Beautiful morning. I'm getting a little bit of raindrops on me, just the tiniest bit of shower. So I think I'm just going to shut this down for now to not ruin my phone, and I'll get back to you later. Okay, so I'm back home now and out of the rain, but I think that the rain stopped anyway as soon as I packed up and got back in my car, and that's just the way it seems to go. But it was hard to tell. I mean, this a little bit of rain was coming down, and I certainly didn't want to damage my phone, so I decided to get in my car immediately, and I did a little bit of running around, and then I came home. So I guess what I could discuss right now is the concept of living in Alabama full-time. And I know a lot of you are aware, I mean, obviously, that Mark and I did purchase a property in Alabama, and it is almost 5 acres. Love that. And it has some beautiful trees. I have not even had an opportunity to explore most of the woods as of yet, but it is mostly wooded. I know that I have crepe myrtle trees. I have some that are very thin and long and tall, but they're still crepe myrtle. I think there's about 19 or 20 of them that I counted. Some along the driveway, some closer towards the back. One just in front of the, I guess the main one that's visible is along the same area that my main fig tree and main hickory tree and the crepe myrtle, those three are pretty much in the same area. And that's probably the prettiest one of them all. It's maybe the youngest. You know, it's not as tall as the other one, not as tall and spindly, but it does seem to have the space. I also have a couple of magnolia trees. And the last time I was cutting the lawn, I realized that I have a whole bunch of little magnolia trees just coming up. So when I guess the thing has seeded, it has dropped seeds. And I was going to either dig them up and replant them elsewhere, but for the time being I left them alone. We really didn't have much time to spare when we were there last. So I have some magnolia trees, which are beautiful. Those are all fairly new trees to me. The fig tree is not a new idea. I have tried to grow fig trees here in Ontario, but don't have the proper facilities, and they seem to die before I can. They seem to get diseased before they even get too large. So I'm quite thrilled that I have 2 mature ones, one that is coming back from the roots, and a whole bunch that I have started from cuttings. So great with the fig trees. The magnolia and the crepe myrtle are new trees to me. Beautiful trees. And I have tons and tons of long needle pine. I have lots of oak trees. I think 2 different types of oak trees. Maple trees, which are very common here as well. So quite a number of different foliage. I believe I also have sassafras. You know, I was going through near the garage area where the woods just start, and I was trying to determine what there was that I was unfamiliar with. And there are a few other things that, you know, here and there that, of course, the Bradford pear. Yeah, Bradford pear. have a number of those on the property, and we're starting to think about getting rid of some of those. And my other pear tree, which the other fruit tree that I know of that is perhaps a pear tree, but all the pears were eaten before I had a chance to see anything of substantial size on them. So I think the deer and the birds and the squirrels just took advantage of that one and just cleaned that one off. So yes, I do love the little piece of land that I have, and I'd love to explore a little further down. We did have a couple of, probably about 4 or 5 dog houses on the property, and I think a couple of them still exist in the woods. And 2 of them, perhaps they were chicken coops at one point and then turned into dog houses, but they both need to be demolished and removed as well. And there was a little dog house right on the courtyard in the backyard by the house, and Mark decided to take that one down and get rid of it because it was, you wouldn't put an animal in there anyway. So, I mean, it was built strong, it was good, but it was, you know, full of plants growing through it, and the bedding in it was, yeah, it would have been difficult to keep that one too and repair it. So yes, the property is awesome. The trees are amazing, and as I said, I have yet to determine what other, oh yes, I believe we have black walnut, and I'm sure that we probably have more hickory trees there, just don't know what kind. I don't even know what kind of hickory we have. That's the main one near the house. Hopefully it's one that is edible and not one of the bitter ones. But whatever it is, we'll find out soon enough. Now, the house needs a lot of work, and the bones are good, but it does need a lot of work. It had been abandoned for a while. And even before that, I don't think that it was kept up. I think that it was just allowed to deteriorate, and things just started to go from bad to worse. And yeah, it needed a lot of work even before it was abandoned. So yeah, the house is going to take quite a few years for us. Sadly, the fact that we have to go back and forth, the fact that we have to maintain 2 properties, is really going to slow that one down a fair bit. It would really, really be nice if we could be there full time, but we can't. I know a number of you have asked me if we are planning to move to Alabama full time, and I can assure you that Mark would in a heartbeat, and certainly I would be happy to be there as well, but there are no avenues, there is no visa for retirees to move to the U.S. full-time. So the only option for us as Canadian retirees is to spend the maximum of 182 days there. And that's all perfectly legal. So we can go back and forth a number of times, or we can spend the full 182 days in one shot, and that's all perfectly legal, and everything is above board. However, if we were to stay one day more, then we would be illegal aliens, and we certainly do not want the opportunity for anyone to deport us. If we were to stay longer, mostly I think it would become an issue with the IRS. It would be a taxation issue for one, and number 2, it is illegal to stay there beyond that. So we could be deported, and we could be refused entry for up to 10 years. So there is no way in the world that we, after having purchased a property there, would try to circumvent the laws and perhaps be deported and not allowed back in. Now, I know a number of you have also asked me, would you stay? Would you live in Alabama full time? Okay, we have researched the possible means of immigrating. you know, there is non-immigrant status that you can obtain, and there are a number of ways to move to the U.S. full-time. One of the more common ones is to marry an American, and Mark and I are both married, so we're not going to marry an American to move to the U.S. full-time. We're certainly not going to get divorced, and then, especially at our age, I can assure you that the likelihood of me getting married another time would be slim to none anyway. My aunt once said, after him, I'll never marry again. And I can understand that one completely. And of course, the second route is to be sponsored from a U.S. employer to work in the U.S. So that was something that potentially occurred, about 15 years ago. I think Mark had somebody who was very much interested in employing him in the U.S. And they had preliminary discussions, but for various reasons it did not come to fruition. So that one was out of the question. And we never did look to see if there were other firms that would be interested in hiring either one of us. We just never did. I've worked for a number of American firms, but in Canada. They were owned by Americans, but I worked for them in Canada. But never thought, I mean, those were in the early days when we didn't even consider moving to the U.S. So employment is another one, and since we're retired, employment is kind of, that one has gone by the wayside. The third one is, what is the third one? Let me think here now. Oh, actually, and the third very common one is to have a family member sponsor you. And we have no family in the U.S. So that one is also out of the question. Now, some people have asked me, well, what about getting dual citizenship? And I've looked up dual citizenship, and of course you have to be a green card holder in order to get dual citizenship. And to be a green card holder, you still have to be, still have to have one of the other qualifications, whether you are, somebody has given you employment there, and then you've gone through the process to become a green card holder, or you have family there and you've gone through that process. So dual citizenship is only available to somebody who's already a green card holder. So that one is out of the question. So that leaves us, the only real option, and it's not really an option, is to invest in the U.S. To start up a business there. And that's going to take an investment that we just don't have. So that leaves us to, maybe somebody can ask Trump to see if he would allow retirees, a retiree visa, but at this point one does not exist. I know that there are other countries where retirees can live there full-time, and but the U.S. does not offer a visa for a retiree. So our option, of course, is just a 6-month, 182 days maximum, and so we'll take that while we can. Now, out of all the research I've done, there might be one potential, but that one is a long shot as well. And that would be what they call an O1 visa. And I might be able to get it through a YouTube channel, but my YouTube channel is nowhere near big enough for that one to be a viable means of being allowed to live and work in the U.S. And if I were able to get that, we could stay there for 3 years, I believe, and then it could be renewed indefinitely. And that is a non-immigrant visa as well. So, yeah, all our options have been exhausted. We know where we stand. Sadly, like I said, we'd love to be there full time. But if and when the Lord allows, it'll happen. If not, we will trek back and forth, and we will try to minimize that so that we're not spending a lot of money going back and forth. This year we did that too many times, and it is costly. So we'll probably limit that to, maybe 1 or 2 trips a year rather than. But in purchasing the property and having it inspected and, having to do some quick repairs and all of that, we did go back and forth a number of times, and putting up security cameras and all of that until we were satisfied that we are comfortable with the situation as it is. So that's where we stand. We enjoy being there. We love Alabama. We're quite happy. Mark really enjoys being on the property too, so it's we're both of the same mind when it comes to the property. So that's a non-issue, and he is quite happy to do as much work as he can do, and himself, which is important because that certainly helps. I mean, there are areas where we'll definitely need to get assistance to repair certain things, but a majority of it he can do himself, and I can certainly help. So with time, who knows? Who knows? Only time will tell where things stand, and yeah, just to make everyone understand that it's not that we wouldn't want to live there full time. It's just that the laws don't allow, and we certainly don't want to be illegals. Don't want ICE coming after us. So trying to live by the laws and be able to cross back and forth without any issue. Anyway, that's our story. So this is Tony from our Alabama Homestead. Talk to you soon. Bye for now.